We open in the middle of an FBI sting operation, as the agents spread out along a busy street to track down a dangerous arms dealer known as Miles Jackson, as a massive stash of weapons is about to be moved. Meanwhile, we meet Officer Danny Fisher, who is living with his girlfriend Molly and their dog. After finally tracking down his badge, he sets off for work with his partner Hank when they get the wanted alert for Miles. Back with the FBI, the team is able to successfully identify Miles and begin tracking him in order to locate the weapons. The FBI has managed to turn the buyer and have him bugged, by literally holding his brother hostage and threatening to lock him away forever if he does not cooperate. They then see Miles take a cab, and FBI team leader George plans to double-cross his informant and take everyone down, as he doesn't plan to let anyone get away. Miles pulls up to the location where the deal is about to go down, with the FBI having eyes on them. Suddenly, the informant reveals to Miles that the FBI is watching and pulls his gun and shoots Miles. He then speaks to the camera nearby, telling the FBI to bring his brother to a location to exchange him for Miles, before he and his men shoot all the cameras around. The men drag Miles to a waiting van and take off in a convoy of other decoy vans to confuse the FBI. It turns out, this was the plan all along, as Miles was wearing a bulletproof vest and is doing just fine. Danny and Hank then get the call about the white van and turn on their red and blues to join the chase. The FBI isn't done messing up yet, as George gets news that their safe house was broken into and their agents were killed and the informant's brother was taken. Back with the goons, Miles figures that if the FBI didn't have the informant's brother, then he would have been double-crossed, and with this, Miles stabs the man, killing him. He jumps out of the van where his girl Erica is waiting for him. He opens the case to reveal a ton of diamonds and they jump in her car and take off. Meanwhile, Danny and Hank are still on the chase when they come to a stop beside Erica but do not recognize her. As they drive off, Danny goes through the suspect photos to see Miles with Erica and realize they just missed her. They make a quick U-turn and catch up with the car and manage to pull her over. They get her papers and ask her to pop her trunk, but Miles suddenly jumps out, shooting and sending them diving for cover, before they speed off. Hank gets shot in the butt, so Danny leaves him with the car and starts running through alleys to try and cut them off. He catches up with them and he and Miles shoot at each other, before they get away again. Hank is determined to catch them. They must be paying this guy a lot of money as he bursts through homes and through people's backyards. Miles tries shooting at him, but bullets can't see their target and keep missing. When he can't go over fences, he goes right through them and ends up losing his gun. This seems to lighten his weight as he starts sprinting until he manages to cut off the car. With quick thinking, Danny loosens a nearby boat, and rolls it out into the road, causing Erica and Miles to crash. Instead of surrendering, Miles tells Erica to run, and she runs straight into Truck Coon and has probably ended up in an anime world. Furious, Miles demands to know Hank's name before seeing his name tag. As the FBI closes in, Miles tells Danny that he will never forget him. 1 year later, Danny is now a detective, promoted after his capture of Miles. Danny is still feeling guilty over Erica's death and thinking how things might have been different if they had just waited for backup. He heads back home to his girl Molly in a flooded bathroom, with Molly trying her best to get it fixed. They end up calling a plumber and it turns out Danny had been cutting corners trying to save money and allowing things to go bad in the house. Molly gets a little upset over this and berates him. Before he can apologize though, she has to leave for work, leaving him feeling guilty. He then gets a call from no other than Miles, revealing that he got out of prison and implying that he is close to the house. Danny grabs his gun and runs outside to check around, when suddenly his house explodes in a ball of fire, killing the poor plumber. Miles tells him that he took the love of his life away from him and blowing up his house was just round one. Molly has to board a ferry to get to work, but while there, a man asks to use her cell phone to call his daughter and being kind she agrees. Turns out, this is all a ploy, as the man is working with Miles and is blocking Danny from contacting her. Danny races to the docks only to see the ferry taking off and begins yelling for Molly. Danny then grand thefts a nearby car, and races to the other side to catch the ferry. Danny then calls Hank, telling him to send backup. He gets to the docks but Molly is nowhere to be found. Miles then calls, revealing that Molly is tied up in the back of his car. Danny promises to find him and kill him, but Miles plans to play a 12-round game until he gets what he wants. He tells Danny to return to where they first met to find a cell phone within 10 minutes. They get to the location where Danny points his gun at some random black dude walking by. Anyways, they see a code on the side of a nearby building which turns out to be coordinates to a firehouse where his brother Dave works. He calls Dave, warning that there might be a bomb in the building and the firemen evacuate soon after. Danny gets to the station where all the firemen are outside and he hears a cell phone ringing from a nearby phone store. Miles then tells him that there is a fire at a nearby loan store, and he needs Danny to retrieve 2 safety deposit boxes using the code stored in the cell phone. Hank has picked up a lead on Miles' van, so he sets off to follow on that lead. The FBI turns up and reveals that they knew that Miles escaped from prison, and can't seem to understand why Danny is so upset about this. George is being a dick and tells him to stop whining and give them the information. Danny takes a ride with the agents to the Loans building, where they reveal that they facilitated Miles' escape after he killed a few guards. They tried to apprehend him, but it turns out FBI means frequently botched investigations and he escaped. George doesn't care about Molly but wants to catch Miles, so Danny ditches them and gets a suit from his brother and joins the firefighters. The boxes are on the 10th floor and Danny climbs the flight of steps to get there. With only 2 minutes to go, Danny grabs the 2 boxes. Miles then calls, revealing that one box has a bomb and the other a clue to the next round. Danny needs to get to the wharf within 10 minutes or the bomb will detonate. The stairs are blocked, so Danny straps the boxes to his body and throws a roll of wire out the window. Danny rappels down the rope, which is a bit too short, so he lets go and falls the rest of the way. Danny recovers and jumps into a fire truck and takes off for the wharf, almost sending an old man to see Jesus and causing massive destruction as he has no time to slow down. Miles' accomplice tries slowing him down, but Danny wastes no time and finds another route. He gets to the wharf, telling Miles to shut down the timers, but they suddenly hit 0. He hears beeping inside one and manages to throw it into the water before it explodes. Danny wants to talk to Molly, but Miles refuses, telling him to follow the clue inside the box. The FBI and cops turn up, and the bomb squad opens the box to reveal a cell phone and a hotel room key for a nearby hotel. George has the entire FBI team head over to the hotel, where they locate the room and get access. On the bed, Danny sees a photo of Molly bound and gagged. They go over the security cameras only to see a recording of Miles holding a sign, saying that they are still in the hotel. They see him talking with a security guard named Willie and Danny rushes off to find the man. The guard leads him to an old lift in an abandoned section of the hotel, explaining that that's where Miles went. However, Miles has placed a charge on the lift's coils that explodes and gets them stuck inside. Willie searches for the emergency phone, however they find a small television device. On it they see a video of Molly explaining that round 6 has already started, and they have 60 seconds before the elevator falls, and poor Willie is just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think a lot of guys say that about their Willie. Danny immediately finds the roof exit and tries helping Willie, but due to him being dimensionally challenged, his fat ass falls back down. Only 40 seconds left and Willie is freaking out, but Danny hasn't been in the WWE for nothing and pulls the big man out. Danny is able to hold on to the ledge, however time runs out before he can help Willie and he falls with the elevator. God damn it, Willie, you got to jump right before the elevator crashes. Unfortunately, Willie doesn't make it, leaving Danny guilt-stricken. He gets a call from Miles with the FBI trying to track his location. Danny feels bad about Willie but has to focus on saving Molly. Miles knows that they are trying to track him and ends the call within 30 seconds before switching his card and calling again. He tells Danny about the clue in the lobby and warns him to tell the FBI to get off his case or he will hurt Molly. Danny heads into the lobby looking for a picture of a lonely man and sees the photo. Danny heads to the location in the photo but is unable to pick up on anything sticking out. He then gets a call from Hank, explaining that they have found an accomplice to Miles' prison break and plans to get a warrant for him soon. Danny sees a bus stop right at his location, so he gets on, only to see Molly there standing before him. When Danny checks her, he is shocked to see a powerful bomb strapped to her body. Miles, who is also on the bus, quickly realizes that Danny is wired and handcuffs him inside the bus. He explains that the bomb is rigged to go off if his finger leaves a pressured device. The FBI is ready to mess up another operation and get their snipers on a nearby location to try and take out Miles. George is warned that they have no clear shot, but his head isn't just bald, it's also hard, and he tells them to take the shot. Danny spots the snipers and has no choice but to save Miles and Molly as they open fire on the bus of people. Miles grabs Molly and leaves him there on the bus, and it turns out the snipers shot Danny. Danny socks George in the mouth, basically telling him he's stupid. He gets the wound treated and sees a number on the clue Miles left for him. He calls the number, and Miles tells him to call one of the 5 numbers inside the envelope, which could either win the round or arm one of 4 devices hidden in the city. Is this guy the Joker? Danny calls one number, but surprise, he loses, and Miles has blown the brakes to a rail car, telling Danny to stop it before it crashes. Danny gets help from George's partner Ray and they race off to get to the tram. Meanwhile, the tram driver realizes the brakes are out and starts shitting himself. Danny catches up to the tram and with quick thinking, he pulls in front of the tram and begins to brake, slowing the tram. Ray takes over as Danny smashes the windshield and climbs into the tram. Tired of hearing tram yet? They cannot get the brake working, so Danny climbs to the roof to try and cut the power. That doesn't work, So he climbs back into the car and races to the nearby power grid, and the two bail before it crashes into the grid and explodes. The tram then barely avoids mowing down a few people before finally coming to a stop. Meanwhile, Hank and his team have tracked down Miles' associate and follow him into a building, which turns out to be a trap. Hank is on his trail when the man ambushes him and holds him at gunpoint. Turns out Miles has planted a bomb on the floor, which explodes with Hank and his associate inside. Danny then gets the news about Hank and is pissed. George apologizes to him and admits that he messed up but now wants to help him out. Miles calls again, congratulating him for making it to round 12. He tells Danny that Molly is somewhere in the city with a bomb strapped to her, and they think that Molly is being held in the cemetery where Erica is buried and races there. He then gets a call from another cop, who explains that Miles had rigged the challenges for him to lose, by blowing the elevator early, killing Willie and having all 5 numbers leading to the tram. Danny and the agent stop, and going over the details, they realize that Miles was leading them to take out the power, because Homewood Security comes in to move the federally unprotected cash from the United States Mint in New Orleans at that time, and Miles' grudge against Danny was only a cover for his scheme to steal this money. Meanwhile, Miles uses a security guard's uniform to take over transport duties for Willie, who also worked with Homewood, and is able to take out a large sum of $100 million, which he dumps into the drain along with water. He gets out on the other side and then uses a fire truck to pull the money out. Miles then sets off an explosion near the hospital where Molly works so the place can be evacuated and he can gain access. He forces Molly to wheel the cash to the roof where a medevac chopper is waiting. Meanwhile, Danny and the agents have figured out Miles' plan and race to the hospital to see the chopper taking off. They get to the roof, but Miles shoots George in the shoulder, dropping him. While he is distracted, Molly hits him in the nuts, giving Danny enough time to jump onto the chopper. Miles is forced to battle Danny in the air, because Molly refuses to land the goddamn chopper, so we can get a suspenseful fight, and I'm getting tired of writing this recap. So they fight, shots are fired which hits the engines, but Danny begins beating the shit out of Miles. Miles gets the upper hand for a bit and manages to stab Danny, but Danny knocks him down. Miles then throws the bomb trigger out the window, arming the explosive, but Danny grabs Molly and they jump into a rooftop pool, just as the helicopter is ripped to shreds. He saves Molly. Recap over. Go watch the goddamn movie, I'm hungry. Remember to turn on notifications, so you can watch more movie recaps like this. Thanks for watching.